US veterans, how do you feel when someone says thank you for your service? It's odd. Imagine someone finding out you went to college and them just saying thank you for getting educated. I know the analogy isn't perfect, but it feels shallow and meaningless if you have no concept of my service. Now, if we have a discussion about what I did in the military, and you seem genuinely appreciative and express that I'm not gonna be an ass, in fact, I'll be pretty stoked. Generally it's also a little awkward. Like if someone says thank you for your service, I go no problem or you're welcome, and the convo is pretty dead there. That could just be me being awkward though. I hate it, but I typically smile and nod. I can usually tell right away if it really is genuine thanks or if it is someone towing some sort of line and just want to seem virtuous. I also only did 4 years active and never was deployed or in combat. The only thing war related I ever did was to be augmented to the MPs and handed a flak, helmet, and M16 to work as a guard in the week after 9/11. Between that, my father being a retired combat vet, and the majority of my workplace being retired combat vets, it personally annoys me when someone says it to me. Outwardly I smile and say, hey thanks. Inwardly I'm wondering to myself, why is society so alienating? On the surface, this person is just trying to be kind and considerate. But, it feels forced and awkward. I hate being put on this pedestal, only to be kept at arm's distance and never feel truly seen. I just want to be seen as a human person. Not brave or strong. And I especially don't want to be looked at with pity, like I'm damaged goods. I was having a pleasant day, and now I'm just rethinking my whole life again, disappointed face. I generally say something along these lines. No, thank you or thank your parents. I went into the army and learned a skill I use every day as part of a lifelong hobby. I spent 3 years in Hawaii surfing, scuba diving, and sailing. You bought me a bunch of neat toys, including a 2-seat convertible sports car, and after I purchased soap, shoe polish, spray starch, and haircuts, most of my paycheck was beer and stripper money. X200B. You have to end with a beer and stripper money, because that's like the punchline. I'm part of my company's veterans group and I recently did a podcast about this very subject. Most veterans are very uncomfortable with recognition, even I used to struggle with it. But I look at the situation from the other person's point of view. They are expressing their gratitude for something I chose to do and what my service represents to them. I no longer get uncomfortable when someone thanks me, I reply with a smile and thanks for your support. Hopefully they feel good and pay it forward. I acknowledge it and let them know I appreciate them saying so. Then as quickly as possible without being conspicuous segue into another topic. It's not their fault if they can understand the magnitude of pain involved, but at least it's a warmer reception than the Vietnam guys got. Besides, maybe I'm a sap, but it still means something to me for people to see us as America's finest if I have such an option, at least before snapping out of it and going right back to not really giving a shit. Not a vet, but I know a decent amount. Most like 90 think it's stupid and kiss-assy. Especially the ones who are just in the reserves, they feel like it's stolen valor because they all know someone who did sacrifice a lot. I also know a good number who now despise the military and realize that all they did was further the agenda of the military-industrial complex and were never fighting for freedom. It was my pleasure and honor to serve with a lot of great people. If they can bullshit me, I can bullshit them. Then they walk away all warm and fuzzy and I try not to say, just kidding, fuck off. What I really want to say is, talk is cheap, what have you actually done to support a veteran in need? But that invites a lot more interaction than I want. And the beat goes on. My entire dad's side are Navy veterans and I've seen the thoughtful and meaningful thank yous often at war museums, naval museums, and the obvious PR self-serving thank yous such as a free meal from Applebee's on Veterans Day. I don't really say it without a proper context for it. I am thankful for their sacrifices, regardless of whether or not they were necessary. It's sweet, and I recognize that they mean well. However, it's weird because I didn't do anything heroic or outrageous. I was basically a vehicular project manager, I cleaned a lot, made reports, did all the standard Marine stuff. I didn't rescue puppies or kill Bin Laden or build an orphanage in Afghanistan, so it feels like someone thanking me for working a normal job. Depends on who sees it. Some random person gets the thanks or I appreciate the support. Someone I know, or someone who's being an asshole about it gets a you're welcome for my service said with the most sarcastic disdain I can fit into those words. I wish people wouldn't thank me. I don't need their thanks or approval, and it makes conversations awkward. Generally, I'll say you're welcome or thank you for the discount. How do I feel? It's changed over the years, I guess. I'm not quite so annoyed these days, and I kind of realize that what they are thankful for is that they didn't have to do it or worry about somebody they love doing it. But I don't really need to hear it, so I don't really bring it up. I react by saying thank you, but I feel horrible and just want to get away as far and as fast as possible. I have major issues with imposter syndrome and survivor's guilt that I manage to more or less keep a handle on, but when some says that, it just comes flooding in. I honestly try to make sure people don't know I'm a veteran most of the time. Thank you for being a willing cog in a tyrannical machine that thrives on domination and exploitation, where human connection is annihilated in the pursuit of material and egotistical gain, and where cooperation for the greater good has been vanquished by the violently divisive bloodlust for power. Mia, you're welcome. I say thank you for your tax dollars. Internally I absolutely hate it. I didn't do anything worth thanking me for. I don't think the vast majority of Iraq-Afghanistan era vets like it either. Pretty sure the only vets that like to be thanked are the Vietnam era boomers, and they come all over themselves for praise. It was just a job that I did. I wasn't put into danger, just shipped a lot of pain. Other people have said it, if you want to thank veterans, care for veterans. I just try to politely nod if it's a stranger. Most of my friends know not to say it to me because I'll tell them straight up, I didn't do it for you. A related question: what's up with the public displays of appreciation? I was at a minor league hockey game, and between periods they did the "Let's welcome home Corporal Joe Lodo, who has just returned from service in Afghanistan," and they put Joe on the big screen and people stand up and clap. I feel awkward, but thankful. I feel for the folks that served during tough times and came home to be called baby killers. In contrast, I've had a blast over the past 22, the deployments and even the sporty parts. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That for every vet that hates it, there's an equal number that wear clothes or even uniforms designed to solicit thanks and free things from others. I cringe when I see an old guy that has to wear that hat every single outing to let the entire world know they were drafted in Vietnam. I always feel really awkward when someone thanks me for my Navy service. But I heard a guy say something that was so cool that I stole it. Now, if someone thanks me for my service, I tell them, you were worth it. I've elicited a smile every time I've said it, so I'm sticking with it. Not a US vet. You know they paid us, right? And mostly we just fucked around being dicks to each other and wasting the defense budget. Just kidding, I don't say that. Only 'cause my wife would kick my ass for penetrating people's worldview with the harsh reality of truth, winking face. Honestly, it is kind of cringe and awkward. Saying you're welcome feels awful, so I always try to just change the subject. If you really want to thank a veteran, donate to one of the many veteran charities. Veteran suicide and homelessness is still very high among other issues. I usually feel like the interaction is forced in some way. Like they feel morally obligated to say that for kindness' sake, but I don't feel like it's necessary or genuine most of the time. That being said, I usually just say thanks, it was fun, and go about my day. It's the main reason I use the self-checkout line where I get a veteran's discount. The teens at the register are coached to say it, I'm sure. I sometimes say, yeah, the $3 off my bag of cement makes those 4 years guarding bombers on an Arctic Air Force worth it. Don't thank me, stop voting for assholes. Or, if you want to really thank veterans, vote for better services instead of half-assed gestures. People stop thanking me pretty damn quick. Did have one coworker give me a cannoli for Veterans Day. That was nice. I just say thanks and move the FCK on. I think people say that as an obligatory response whenever they find out you're a veteran. Which is why I never tell people I'm a vet unless it's necessary or it comes up naturally during a conversation. I'll stop thanking vets now. I didn't realize the implications mentioned here. I was thinking about my father and a dozen uncles cousins who served, all of whom are dead now. Nobody ever acknowledged what they did. But I won't anymore. I say it was an honor. Most of the time I feel mixed emotions. Sometimes I feel proud and happy, thinking of the good times and good things. Sometimes I feel kind of sad, when I think about the not so good times. Sometimes I miss it. People in America actually say this in real life. I thought it was a meme or a trope. Just walking up to a soldier presumably in uniform, and saying thank you for your service? That's just, wow! It sounds like a social fetish. I'm a third-generation veteran and my dad and grandpas didn't get as much appreciation as I do, so I'm genuinely grateful when someone says thank you for your service. I'm always polite and let them know that I appreciate their support. My dad did 30 years in the army. He's pretty mixed on it depending on who says it. In the house we usually just goof on him and thank him for his service for random things like taking the garbage out or putting the toilet seat down. Much better than being spit on at the airport. Talk to a Vietnam vet sometime to see how they were treated. Get over yourself and then stop being weird about people trying to be nice to you. 29 years active in reserve. It's super awkward to me. Like WTF am I supposed to do? Strike a superhero pose and bell a no thank you citizen before flying into the sky? I don't like it when people do that and it makes me super uncomfortable. It was literally the best time of my life, so feels weird that someone is thanking me for it. If anything, I feel like I should be apologizing to them for having to pay taxes for me to shoot guns and work out all day. I feel bashful because, although I'd volunteered, I served during peacetime and I didn't make the same sacrifices so many other veterans made. But I support all my fellow veterans and I think about our troops always. It gets old, so I've started telling people I appreciate you, but do me a favor, go do something that makes my time and sacrifice matter. Make a difference. Hopefully it makes them think and so something good. Thank them for their support, while feeling undeserving of it. But then think about my 2 shipmates who died. They deserved thanks and never got it, so I accept the thankses for them and get on with my day. I was doing valet one time and this guy pulled up and he yelled out "You're welcome." I was like, huh? And he points to one of the half-dozen veteran bumper stickers on his car. I just smile and say thank you. The Air Force was very good to me for me. It was peacetime my entire stint and now I'm grateful every day for my VA medical coverage. I really should say thank you to them.